If you ask the average person how much they need to quit their job, they'll say $1 million. It's a round number, it sounds safe, it's become the ultimate cultural finish line. But for most of you watching this, that number is a trap. It's a psychological barrier that keeps you working years longer than you actually need to. Here is the uncomfortable truth about wealth. Your money doesn't magically change when you hit 7 figures. The real turning point, the moment your portfolio stops being a savings account and starts being an income engine, happens much earlier. For most people aiming for early retirement, that threshold is $750,000. If you are between 25 and 34, this is the most important number you will ever hear. Below this level, a bad market year can feel like a setback. Above this level, your money starts behaving differently. It's not magic, it's math. In this video, I'm going to show you why $750,000 is the functional tipping point for early retirement. I'll break down the mathematical crossover where your labor becomes optional. We will cover the 3 big shifts in how you handle your money once you cross this line. I'll also show you 2 real-life examples. One person who retired too early without hitting this escape velocity and struggled, and one couple who used the $750K secret to gain total control of their time in their 30s. Most people think the big change happens at $1 million. They're wrong. The real change happens much earlier, and most people work 5 extra years because they don't realize it. Welcome to the channel. We break down the quiet thresholds that determine if you struggle or stay free. Make sure to stay until the end because I'm going to show you the exact sequence of returns map you need to follow. Let's define this $750,000 turning point. First, let's be clear. $750,000 is not a get-rich-quick number. It doesn't mean you can go buy a Ferrari tomorrow. What it represents is escape velocity. Think of a rocket ship. Most of the fuel is burned just trying to leave the ground. In your 20s, you are burning fuel. You are trading your time for money and throwing it into your accounts. Below $750,000, your contributions are the biggest factor in your growth. If you have $100,000 saved and the market goes up 10%, you made $10,000. That's cool, but it's probably less than you saved from your salary that year. Your work is still the engine. Once you hit $750,000, the math flips. A 10% market gain on $750,000 is $75,000. For many of you, that is more than your entire annual take-home pay. This is the moment where your money begins to out-earn your labor. This is where compounding moves from a slow burn to a wildfire. Let's look at the safe withdrawal math. In the FIRE community, we talk about the 4% rule. $750,000 times 4% equals $30,000 per year. Now, you might think, I can't live on $30K, but remember the demographic. Many of you are living in low-cost areas, or you are willing to geo-arbitrage. More importantly, $30,000 is your floor. When you combine that $30K with side hustles, passion projects, or part-time work you actually enjoy, you are effectively retired. You no longer need a corporate 9-to-5 to survive. The first major shift you have to make at $750,000 is your mindset. You have to stop viewing your portfolio as a pile of cash and start viewing it as an income engine. Below $500,000, your portfolio is fragile. If you try to pull 5% out of a $400,000 account, you're only getting $20K. It's not enough to cover the bills, so you end up dipping into the principal. This is how people go broke. They pull too much too early. But at $750,000, the engine is large enough to sustain itself. You can realistically rely on this money for a huge chunk of your lifestyle. This changes your behavior. When you know your bills are covered by your dividends and growth, your stress levels drop to 0. When stress drops, you stop making poor person decisions. You don't panic sell when the S&P 500 drops 10%. You don't chase moonshot crypto coins because you're desperate to catch up. You've already won the game. Now you just have to keep from losing it. This is the secret part of the early retirement guide. Most people in their 20s are told to be aggressive. Buy stocks, take risks. You have time. That is great advice when you have $50,000. But when you hit $750,000, sequence of returns risk becomes your biggest enemy. What is it? It's the risk that a market crash happens in the first 2 years of your retirement. If you have $750,000 and the market drops 30% while you are taking money out, your portfolio gets crippled. It might never recover. Once you hit this tipping point, you have to shift from maximizing growth to preventing catastrophe. This means building a cash buffer. Keep 1 to 2 years of living expenses in a high-yield savings account. Asset allocation. You might move from 100% stocks to an 80-20 or 70-30 split. The guardrail strategy. If the market goes down, you spend less. If the market goes up, you spend a bit more. At $750,000, protecting the base is more important than chasing an extra 2% return.
In your 20s, taxes are simple. You contribute to a 401k or a Roth IRA and forget about it. But as you approach $750,000, taxes become your biggest expense. If all your money is in a traditional 401k, you don't actually have $750,000. You have $750,000 minus the government's cut. When you go to withdraw that money in your 30s or 40s, you could be losing 20 to 30% to Uncle Sam. This is why tax location matters. At this threshold, you need to have money in 3 different buckets: tax-deferred, 401k, traditional IRA; tax-free, Roth IRA, HSA; taxable, standard brokerage account. Having money in a taxable brokerage is the secret sauce for early retirees. It allows you to access your money before age 59.5 without paying massive penalties. If you don't have a tax strategy at $750,000, you are leaving 6 figures on the table over the course of your life. Let's look at 2 guys in their early 30s. Meet Alex. Alex wanted to quit his tech job at 30. He had $450,000 saved. He figured his expenses were low, so he pulled the trigger. He moved to Bali and started withdrawing 5% of his portfolio. Then 2022 happened. The tech stocks he owned plummeted. His $450,000 became $320,000. But his rent didn't go down. He was forced to sell his shares at the bottom just to eat. By age 33, Alex was out of money. He had to crawl back to a corporate job, but now he had a 3-year gap on his resume. He lost his momentum. Now meet Chris and Sarah. They were 32 and hit the $750,000 mark. Instead of just quitting and doing nothing, they used the escape velocity strategy. They kept their money in a balanced portfolio. They kept $50,000 in cash. They decided to work low-stress freelance jobs that covered their basic rent. Their $750,000 stayed invested and grew. When the market dipped, they didn't touch their stocks. They lived off their freelance income and cash. Because they didn't sell during the crash, their portfolio bounced back to $900,000 within 18 months. Today, they are 35. Their portfolio is over $1 million, and they haven't worked a real job in 3 years. They didn't need $1 million to start. They just needed the $750,000 pivot. Whether you have $5,000 or $500,000, here is your step-by-step plan. Step 1, get brutally honest. Stop looking at your net worth. Your house value won't pay for groceries. Look at your investable assets. How much do you have in the market right now? That is your real number. Step 2, calculate your floor. What is the absolute minimum you need to survive? If that number is $35K and you have $750K, you are mathematically coast-fire. You can stop saving and just let your money grow. Step 3, build the bridge. If you want to retire before 60, you need a bridge account. This is your standard brokerage account. Start funneling more money here once your 401k match is met. This is the money that buys your freedom in your 30s. Here is the final warning. $750,000 does not mean you are rich, but it does mean you are free. If you treat $750,000 like a lottery ticket and spend it on lifestyle creep, you will end up like Alex, back in a cubicle by age 40. But if you treat it like a fragile income engine that needs to be protected, you gain something 99% of the world will never have: control over your time. The $1 million goal is a distraction. The real battle is won at $750K. So where are you on this journey? Below 100K, the accumulation phase, between 100K and 500K, the building phase, approaching or above 750K, the pivot phase. Comment your number below. I read every single one. And if you want to know exactly how to build that bridge account so you can quit your job before you turn 40, you need to watch this next video right here. We dive deep into the specific ETFs that make the 750K strategy work. I'll see you there.